February 12th. I believe, Dukes, double check it. Pretty sure it's the day Whitney Houston died.
You're right.
Wow.
I'm going to have to try and
I remember where I was when that happened.
get them to pull that reblog. Whitney Houston's 5 best ballads and party banging songs.
February 11th.
February 11th she died?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, it's close.
You missed it. That would have been cool.
I did miss it.
Not Joe Namath.
No.
Remember where I was when that happened? I was at New Vesuvio for Sopranos.
Okay.
It was like a real restaurant in Astoria, right around the corner where I lived. And I was just eating dinner there, and it came up on my phone.
Yeah, it was like 2012, right?
It was 2012.
Yeah.
Where'd she die?
What?
Where'd she die?
It was at the Grammys. It was like at a hotel in L.A., right?
Yeah.
Name
like that.
name where.
I don't know the place.
I don't know.
Beverly Hills. It wasn't that hard.
Uh-uh.
Not you, Connor. Don't worry.
All right.
Not chirping you.
I think I was on my way
She
to
was
the Bronx
48.
to meet a female acquaintance.
So young, right? Isn't that crazy?
I thought she was 70.
She lived 70 years in 48
Yeah, I mean,
years, if that makes sense.
She became famous very young. Like in the 80s, she was very young. Like early 20s. Like maybe like 20. Crazy.
Drowned in a hot tub. Bathtub.
The bathtub. And then her daughter died the same way.
Damn.
Yeah,
Years
that's
later.
crazy.
Very crazy.
Let me retweet the stream. All right, so a couple different things to get to today. We'll also take calls, Dukes. Fire those up today.
Sure.
Kevin Durant hits 30K. He's the 8th player to do that, which I guess is...
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, kind of, but I don't know. It's one of those, I guess you don't know how many points a guy scores in his career, career offhand to a degree, or you don't know how many guys will score 30,000 anyway.
20,000 was a big milestone when I was younger.
I do feel like it's moved up.
Maybe it's now 30, yeah.
Phil, do you have a list of like current, he's taking the calls. Who's on the cusp of guys close to 30? How many more of these guys do we think get to 30?
Oh, I think a lot would. Let me see here.
I think the way the scoring goes...
A lot's not right. I shouldn't say that. I think a few more will. Let me pull it up here, too. Because guys are scoring more than ever. So he's 8th all-time, right? So the next guy down is Harden. He's 26-9.
30,000 puts him at 8 all-time?
8 all-time.
Okay.
Yes. Harden's 14th all-time, and he has 26-9. Harden, when he gets 15 more points, will tie Hakeem Olajuwon. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because Hakeem was listed as, considered such a dominant force or one of the best players in that. I guess you would have to group James Harden in that, but it's weird. I guess we just guys who score.
I just don't think of those guys
for a long time, not as winner. Yeah, I don't put James Harden as a winner. I really don't.
No, I mean, Hakeem won 2 titles. Curry has 24-6. Russell Westbrook has 25-8. I don't know if he's.
That feels like it's weird that Curry's not there yet. I guess it goes to show you that Durant is older, but it goes to show you that not by much though. Durant's
DeMar DeRozan
and Curry missed some time.
DeMar DeRozan and Curry have almost the same exact amount of points.
All right, so do that math.
Crazy?
So Curry's at what? 24?
24-6.
24-6.
He was injured in his career.
82
and he didn't
games.
come in.
Right.
He didn't come in after freshman year.
Yeah, 82 games. Curry averages.
Well, he's not playing 82 games anymore, so.
All right, yeah.
Maybe 65.
65, and he averages what? 17?
Oh, more than that. But yeah, it's very conservative, but sure.
65. God damn it, calendar. 65 times 19, let's say?
Yeah, that's probably fair. You could even go higher than that.
It's only 1,200. Is my math right? There's only 1,200 points.
But he's been scoring more than
1,200 points a season?
I don't know.
65 times 19 is only 1,200? Is that what he's getting?
Yeah. But he's getting more than that because he's scoring more than that. He's
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he'll get there. Damian Lillard
So he
has
needs
22-2.
what, like 6? Yeah, he needs like 6 more years of that, I guess.
Oh, no, I think 3 more years. He'll get there in 3 years. Curry. Yeah. DeMar DeRozan, I don't think he has almost the same amount of points as Curry, believe it or not. I don't know if he'd get there or not.
I don't think he will. I think his time is waning out.
Damian Lillard 22-2. Giannis 19-8. I think he gets there. He's still young.
Yeah, I feel that's the thing. You start looking at guys younger, who can get there younger.
But it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you go through. It's an interesting list for sure. But yeah, Durant. So here's the camp. LeBron is. By the way, LeBron is 41, which is crazy.
Right.
LeBron, Kareem, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dirk Nowitzki, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kevin Durant. That's a pretty good club. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
Shows you how great Kevin Durant is.
Well, I've said it a million times. I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. I do think, in terms of natural scorers, he was the best natural scorer we will have ever seen in a long time.
More than Kobe?
Way better.
Way
The
better.
stats are there also.
Yeah.
Like when you compare them, he's more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Kobe's-
true shooting
yeah.
percentage, everything. Like analytically.
Kobe's a better player.
Right. That's where I think
Durant's
it
a better
changed. Durant's a better
scorer.
scorer.
But like,
I'll
yeah.
take that.
is it also like?
Kobe also goes with winning. Like Durant did win titles, but they were a little whatever.
Yeah.
Kobe, I felt like was
Kobe played much better defense.
For sure.
yeah.
Than Durant.
Yeah. It was one of those things. Kobe does more things better than Durant, or more noticeable than Durant, that makes you like Durant scoring stood out. You know what I mean? When you look at Kobe, it's like, all right, well, winner. Defense, this, that.
It was also like
driven. Like, I'm not belittling Durant, but it was like Durant was just scoring.
It was also like with Kobe. I know. Take it for what it is. Like even with Michael, like it was probably during an era where it was chucking, like where it was a lot more iso ball than it was team basketball. That's kind of how I always took which I'm in a sense like sticking up for Kobe. Like that's why it's like hard to compare. I think KD stats to Kobe stats. Like Kobe might like there's probably some years where he's just like fuck it, I'm just shooting 35 shots a game, which isn't an efficient way to play basketball.
Yeah, he did. There were nights, you're right, where he was 6 of or
I have a
whatever
hard
he went in
time.
the finals. Yeah,
I have a hard time saying Durant's a better scorer than Michael Jordan. But you guys said who you guys have seen.
I think
and you guys-
KD might be the best scorer of all time.
that's where
I
I'm
have
at.
a hard Michael Jordan. I have a hard time with that. But and then are we looking past LeBron? I mean, LeBron can do so many different things. Are we almost kind of glossing over him? 41,000 points. I mean, he has 10,000 more than Durant. I know he's been playing longer. I get it, but I almost think LeBron is so great we almost look past him sometimes.
No, because with LeBron, if he wanted to go for 35 a night, he could.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I think anybody that doesn't know that just box score watches. Like everybody that watches
Right.
LeBron knows that like he brings so much more to the table because he can pass, he chooses to pass, he takes off like when he's scoring even like now like 26, 27, it's like he can still go off if he wants to.
In his younger days, he played a lot
Yeah.
better defense than Durant could ever dream of. LeBron. It's funny to look at this and you look at some of these leaderboards, and LeBron is so great that you do forget. Like I still have Jordan as my best player of all time, but LeBron is the clear number 2 for me. I think LeBron is like statistically an unbelievable player. I know that's kind of obvious to say, but I think we almost forget it sometimes because he's so great.
When did Michael Jordan become the GOAT? Like, what ring, pushed it to where, oh, he's the greatest of all time?
That second three-peat. Like, in the middle of that second three-peat. When those teams were winning 70 games and he came back from retirement, it was like, holy shit. When he wins that 4th and 5th titles and he hadn't lost one, and it's basically, it's like, holy shit. And when he wins the 6th, it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's where it's very interesting with Jordan that he gets this story, which is true. He did never lose in the finals.
Right.
But he also has a couple of asterisks there when you're telling the story of the 94 and 95 seasons when he was away and then did lose in the playoffs, not at full strength.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that's a given excuse.
Yep.
And then 99 when he should have continued and or stepped away, that as well is like, well, can we see these guys finish? It's like he retired a little bit early, you know what I mean? So we didn't get the full run of that. Like, that's where I think it's depressing. Not depressing, but kind of unfair. The Bulls story is great, but it's one of those, I feel like it's like at the end of Stand By Me, like when the kid's disappointed with, then what happened? The kid throws up on everybody. Then what happened? And they're a little disappointed in the story. That's kind of where I'm at with the Bulls, that, yeah, it's a great story, but they didn't cover enough in these 2 chapters for sure.
Well, it's
99 and
crazy,
on,
man.
they didn't have a chance in 99. Granted, it was Krause who fucked it up, and he has this weird retirement in 94, 95, in the peak of the three-peat. Could he have gone for 7 more? I almost feel like, as great as Jordan was, and it was a gift to watch every game, which, again, people my age love to say, oh, I watch every game. Again, I was a suburban kid. There were times you didn't watch those games late at
And
night.
you also didn't have the
I
same
watched
cable
enough
packages
of
we have now. The games weren't as
100%.
available.
Yeah, I definitely watched Jordan, but I didn't watch Jordan like I've watched LeBron's
Oh, you
career.
didn't have the same access you have
Yeah,
now.
100%.
Nowhere near.
But I just think it's almost like a little bit of it's a little unfair to fans that it left a little more for you tasting more. You know, what I mean?
Absolutely. And I really believe they would have won those 2. Those 2 in the middle, the 2 the Rockets won. And this is no shame of the Rockets. Hakeem was awesome, and Drexler was there, was awesome. But Jordan, I think, would have won those 2 won those 2 years, he'd been at full strength.
Yeah, but
I'm
it
interested
is.
in this.
I mean, Hakeem was unbelievable too. So you could make
So one of those years, weren't they the 8th seed? Like they weren't that great.
5. I think they were a 5 from what I remember.
Not the 8th seed. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Because that would be a big deal if the 8th won. I remember them being a 5.
They were they were not like the team. Like like I don't know. I do think Jordan would have won those 2 in the middle had he been at full strength. And then the fact that it blew up, even in real time, it was like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, they had everything. They had the greatest team in the NBA, and they intentionally blew it up.
So I have a question for you guys. I think dynasties, especially in basketball, probably have a 3-year cap, 4-year cap, where things start to break up a little bit. And I heard this one time, I don't exactly know where, but they said that Michael Jordan's retirement actually probably set up the three-peat because they came together after that. Like if they just worked its way through and he didn't retire, friction would have came. Scotty would have been like, I'm the guy,
Right.
And all this would have happened where actually the retirement helped set up the second three-peat. I agree with that. I mean, even if you look at the Warriors and the way that KD left, like you saw it year 4, year 3, people were like, it became like, okay, now KD wants to prove himself, and it broke up a little bit. And of course, the Warriors went on to beat the Celtics in 2022 and won again, but I do think that a core group of people, after 3-4 years of winning all the time, you do start to see some.
I think it's a really fair take. The personalities may not have survived the 8-year dynasty.
Exactly.
I think it's a very fair point because Pippen did want to be the guy. Remember, Pippen had that famous thing where they called it during that time when Jordan was gone. He was getting kind of moody. He wouldn't go in for that last play because they wanted Kukoc to have the ball, and he was being bitchy about it. So you might be right. Pippen might have been like, enough of this. We've won 5 in a row. Get me out of town.
Right, and even they could have had the 4-peat, and I know it was the year after Michael retired. Weren't they still really good with Scotty as the main guy?
Those 2 years they were really
right. They were still really good. So then it's
94. I think they lost to the Knicks in 7. I want to say that was the only time the Knicks beat them, and even then the Knicks needed by skin of their balls to win that. And then in 95 they lose to
the Magic.
Shaq when he comes back.
Yeah,
but Scotty had them pull up those seasons. Scotty was unbelievable.
So even if you just go off that, it's for Scotty to have those good, for Scotty to go off like that, be the main guy, and be like, no, this isn't fulfilling for me to be the guy. I want to win championships. He put his ego probably to the side after that retirement and was like, I need Mike. I think the whole thing is just fascinating to evaluate. Because I know, I even saw, Jenks is a huge Jordan guy, and I get why, but I firmly believe that the retirement helped the Bulls.
That's fair.
I guess it's weird.
I don't think it's a bad take at all.
Yeah.
Right. And even could they have gone for 4 or 5? Maybe.
Yeah.
Who's to say they couldn't? But I do think that kind of matched up nicely.
But it makes you wonder too about the 24/7 news cycle in 98, 99. We didn't have a 24-hour news cycle. What would that have been if that was going? The Bulls. Hey, the Bulls just won 6 out of 8. Have the best player in the world, and the GM is saying he doesn't want to keep him.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's, I can't.
Imagine social media.
It'd be the only thing we talk. It'd be the only thing we talk about.
Imagine having a Shams in the fucking Bulls locker room where you have to be Michael and Scotty aren't talking. What the Suns are going through right now. This locker room turmoil, just whatever.
It was still. I don't want to make it sound like it was caveman days. It was still ESPN. It was still
Twitter.
You're right. There was no social media, but there was still the internet. Primitive. There was still ESPN. There was still 24-hour coverage on those teams. There really were. And, I know it sounds antiquated, but, newspapers that had to do a great job covering this stuff. It was just a different way to.
For sure, but I think as a consumer, it's now, with social media, and the only difference is, for a paper, you got to want to seek out the story. Sometimes on Twitter, the story, you just see it.
I guess also, you got to remember only, 8% of people are on Twitter. People aren't on Twitter.
For sure.
The average person just isn't on Twitter.
For sure, but I think it's just if that 8% is on Twitter, then they could cycle that information to the percentage that's not on Twitter. Like my dad.
Yeah.
I give him every news story, and then he'll read the paper and be like, "Wow, you weren't lying." I'm like, "I know, Dad. The internet is pretty factual."
It's quicker too. Yeah. It's all right. Travis Kelce is teasing retirement or teasing his future, and he's going to take a lot of time. I think this is it's weird. It's kind of a non-story. Of course he's going to say that. You know what I mean? He's older. They lost. He's now in a serious relationship.
Likes the attention.
Does like the attention. Has a podcast. Is he going to announce it there? I think this is a no shit. Obviously he's going to take time. I guess the question I would ask off of that is like, which way you think it's going to go? Because I think I think he's still got a little bit left.
Yeah.
And he's got a little bit left. And how do you leave playing with this guy? Like, he makes you look that good. And you know you're going to turn it on. You're going to be in the mix for the playoffs. Like, you're going to still have big games. Like, he wants to be involved in that.
He's gotten worse every year the last 3 years. 2022, 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns. Incredible. 23, 984 yards, 5 touchdowns. Last year, 823, 3 touchdowns. Like, I don't like this trend. He's going to be 36 next year. I don't know. I don't know. Like, you're right, Rigo, in that, like, there's a really good chance he could come back next year, even regress a little bit more and still win a title because Mahomes is that great. But do you want to keep doing this? I don't know. I also, Ricky Henderson, they had to rip the uniform off of him. So I get it. Steve Carlton, same thing. I get it. You want to play until the end, go for it. Or like we saw with Vince Carter. You want to do that? Great, go for it. No, God bless. But if you want to kind of keep your legacy intact as far as always being great, you probably want to walk away now.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult, though, knowing how close he got this year.
I know.
You know, and how easy they can get. Like, nothing's for granted, but, like, the Chiefs will be in the playoffs next year.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt. Like,
Is there a doubt?
They're in the playoffs?
Is there a doubt?
I don't think so.
No.
So can I just
really don't.
can I draw just devil's advocate?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I think they will. You start circulating like, one, if Travis plays, he's going to have to restructure. That $19.7 million cap hit is
Right.
going to hit hard. Do they have enough money to sign like players that will take them to make them a better team next year? I don't know. Like, they really have to hit on like an undervalued player. They don't have like that much cap space to work with. It's not like they're going to go out and like DeAndre might retire. Like, it's not like they have. McDuffie's probably going to have to be paid to some extent if he wants a contract extension, or you're going to have to look to like trade him for value. There's a lot of interesting components with the Chiefs. And when you look at the AFC West, the Chargers are pretty good. They have a good coach.
Good quarterback.
They have good quarterback.
Denver was better than expected.
Exactly.
They got to be thrilled with
So,
where
like,
they were year one.
And like, if you don't have Travis, who's like, and a lot of commentators will like say this, Mahomes is really good at extending a play when he needs that play to use his legs to go find his consistent receiver, which is Travis. And if he doesn't have that, it makes up for an interesting situation where what if the Chiefs go, I don't know, 10-7, and they miss the playoffs? I'm with you, Clever. I do not think it is, but I think it's something to explore the option of. Would it shock you if they missed the playoffs and Denver and Chargers got in?
Well, I will say this.
It would
Or even like
blow my mind.
Yeah, even if one of those teams won the division, like it could even be the Chiefs, and the two teams get left out. Not surprising to me.
It does make sense to me that there would be a regression back to the means. They've won so many one-score games this year.
I know, but
They won a lot of games this year.
I can't imagine they don't make the playoff. I mean, that's to me is like.
Well, you could see if two or three of those games
getting
swing.
knocked out. I mean, they made the AFC Championship the last 6 years.
I know.
I mean, so the amount of the playoffs would be such a giant. Now, if you told me, hey, they get knocked out in the second round next year, is that a possibility? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have that conversation. But to me, them not making the playoffs next year seems so foreign to me. I don't see that.
I also agree.
Unless Mahomes gets hurt, which could happen.
It happens.
It happens.
Then you could go 11-5 and miss the playoffs.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Have Matt Castle. Bring him
Yeah,
back.
he's a chief.
He was.
Bring him back.
He was a strong chief too. He's a good chief.
Eh,
They were okay.
they were okay. Yeah.
Maybe strong is too
Yeah,
nice.
that was yeah.
He was a decent chief.
Yeah, that was.
Is that better?
He's a forgettable chief.
Oh, I being mean. Decent chief.
I did think he was going to be the truth.
He was
Pat's
pretty fucking good backup. I'll say that though.
Guy could run.
Had to be.
Guy could run.
That. Yeah.
Guy had wheels. I do not think they'll miss the playoffs. For the record, I just think I wanted to explore the other option. I'm fascinated by this.
I could see a lot of one-score games going against them.
Like.
Because or just the way they've won. There were how many one-score games they win this year?
Exactly.
Or close games without scoring a ton. It wasn't like it was 45-42 and like the offense is always going to be there. Like they kind of skated by the test, you know. Like I floated it the day after the Super Bowl. Like, did they definitely deserve to be there? I know. Yeah, they did beat the teams, but
they did.
And the
barely beat the Bill. Yeah,
but they still won those games.
They still won the games.
They still won the games. I agree.
The one glaring thing, and I haven't been able to talk about this yet, is we talked about for like the last year, this year, how Mahomes. Last year he won, so it's whatever. Who cares what happened in the regular season? But we've definitely seen regression in Mahomes' game, right? But we always finish it off by saying like the fourth quarter, like finishes the games, wins the games. This Super Bowl was so glaring of a bad game that it's like, is he just a top 10 quarterback?
Mahomes? Mm-hmm. Bro, stop with that.
Yeah,
In this season, including playoffs, they won 12 one-score games. 12.
Like,
12. Phil Steele every year for college football does that net thing, like where if you were +4, he says 4 one-score games. He looks at you have to come back to the mean. Now there's only 12 games in that, so I guess it's all relative. But bro, 12 one-score games.
So maybe they don't go 15.
12?
Maybe they don't go 15-2 next year. Maybe they go 12-5. They're still making the. They're still winning.
I do think they're gonna make the playoffs. I do, but I'm just saying those one-score games can go back at you. Like
I agree with you. I personally think they might be done. I think that they are going to have to rebuild for the second dynasty, which can definitely come. But I think that I don't think they'll win another championship with this core players.
Well, I think
Mahomes is different. I think Mahomes could definitely win another one. And I think they have
Kelsey's
to,
a problem.
Right, like they definitely have to start rebuilding, like the Patriots did in 2010. Like this is their time. But this is when they have to nail the draft. This is when they have to get all their players. Like, do you not agree?
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's mission critical as you're saying. But the Kelsey thing's a problem because, like you said, he's got that big cap hit. But even if he retires, that's still a hit, right? I believe that's how it works. So even
that sucks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it works with Rodgers. Because even if Rodgers retired, the Jets are still on the hook for that. Whatever that cap hit. So. That's a problem. And I also just think Kelsey's regressing. We're seeing, but I don't think Mahomes is yet. I still very much believe in Patrick.
No, Mahomes is still in the peak of where he's at. I want to get to Danny Hurley eventually. We have Phil. How many calls do you have lined up? 7. All right, perfect. So we'll get to that.
We also got to talk some bourbon too, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we can do that now. Actually, well.
Yeah, do it now.
We can do it now. Yeah, I'll make it the bold take
Some
brief.
bold picks too. I got a bold pick.
You got a bold pick. I got a bold take. Evan Williams. This segment is presented by Evan Williams. Evan Williams is game day's #1 pour, and you'll find them cheering with fans in every corner. They don't play favorites. They don't pick sides. From center court to the gridiron and everywhere in between, if you're a fan of Kentucky's first distiller, you should consider yourself part of Bourbon Nation. Known for its smooth, approachable profile featuring caramel, vanilla, and oak with hints of spice and sweetness. It works well for sipping straight on the rocks or as a base in cocktails like the Old Fashioned. You got March coming up. You got different holidays coming up. I think Evan Williams is a perfect spot for that as it starts to hopefully get a little bit nicer out here. I know we're getting snow the last couple of weeks, but let's start to turn the count. It's also bullshit snow, 3 hours. But hey, if some places get 9 inches, 10 inches,
I know,
stuck inside, make sure you lock up on that Evan Williams.
Oh yeah.
Enjoy today, game day's #1 pour. By now, join Bourbon Nation. Enjoy responsibly, 21 plus. Evan Williams, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Bardstown, Kentucky, 43 to 45% alcohol volume. All right, my bold take is this, and it's going to sound completely homerish, but I do think it's calculated, or it makes sense. I'm interested to see what Duke says on this. Take friendship, take the fact that I would get a ring and I would be at the parade aside.
Boy. Oh, here we go.
I think if you're asking the casual fan through the NCAA tournament or the next couple of weeks, if you're just tuning in, you're watching games, I think Alabama will be the most fan-friendly team to watch via their brand of basketball. And I don't think that's crazy. If you look at how popular the Warriors have gotten, and then granted, 70% of teams now are shooting over 40 or a lot, like close to 60 or at least whatever, we could look it up, are shooting over 40% of their attempts from 3. Years ago, that used to be 40 teams. Like 10 years ago, that was 40, 50 teams. Now it's doubled. Everyone is shooting threes. But it's shooting threes to make them. It's an up and down style. It's guys getting to the rim. I do think if you're not if you're a Clemmer, or you're a guy like where Clemmer has a thing where he's not into college all year, but every year they watch the first 2 days of the tournament, and you're banging out of work early. I do think a ton of people would turn on Alabama and be like, "That's a fun team to watch."
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think that's that crazy. Dude.
No, that's not crazy.
I think a lot of casual people be like, "I like watching that team." Now, will you root for them? That because they're going to be a 1 and they might be 1 overall or whatever. Like that's a different topic. But I think a lot of people watching the game will be like, I like watching that. I'm invested in watching.
That's not a bold take. I don't think, because I think that's pretty fair, because Alabama does play a fun, exciting brand of basketball. But I think it's bold to say that they're going to be like the fan favorite, because like I think people are going to be more interested in like Cooper Flag, for instance. Like any NBA fan is going to be like, all right, now Duke is obviously very it's controversial is not the word, but polarizing, where people love or hate them. But I think people are going to be very interested in Cooper Flag.
I think Cooper Flag's probably the story.
Yes.
And I think that you're also diminishing how strongly people hate Alabama because of you.
You think the Bosco effect?
I think that the casual. I'm using
You
the
gotta
Barstool.
remember, we think things are bigger than they are in the.
No, I agree. I think
Okay.
outside of the Barstool universe, people still will like Duke better. People think Alabama's a fun brand of basketball. I think people last year thought Alabama was a fun
Yeah.
brand of basketball. I think they think they're fun every year.
Okay.
People hate you. People not hate you. People hate you as an Alabama fan. I love you as an Alabama fan. I think that in this world though, no, you will be blinded by how many people don't want to see you win. I don't think you'll be able to appreciate how much people like Alabama's brand of basketball because of how much people will dance on you if they lose.
People also want to see Bosco take that bus.
Right,
That's the thing. Even if you don't hate
that's
Bosco,
exactly
even
what
if
I'm
you
saying.
like Bosco,
That's exactly my point.
I'll be in the I'll be in the shower and you're doing a million different things and then it'll hit you like, yo, I might have to take a bus.
Bosco, can I tell you something
Like,
too?
and then there's nights like last night where you're like, no chance. Like it's an easy win, 106 points, whatever the fuck they scored, 17 threes, 60% from the field, 50 from three, and it's like this is easy. But yeah, then there's other times where you're like, oh shit, like I
Besides
might take a
Dayton,
bus.
Besides Dayton, Alabama, 2021 with was it John Perry?
Yeah, Petty.
John Petty, Herb Jones. Yeah, Quinterly.
Yep.
I love that team so much. I was like, this guy Nate Oates is a genius. I love the way that their defense plays. I love the way their offense plays. And I don't hate them now. I'm like not one of those guys, but the way that Bosco has taken them on, it's a little bit like you're just watching it like a car crash from afar. Like,
the problem with Bosco's bet is that even if you love Bosco, you still want the Bosco content of him on the bus. So everyone, I think, is going to be rooting against Bosco, even his fans.
yeah, that's the thing.
That's the problem.
The riders will say like, we don't want you to ride the bus. All
But
the
they
riders
kinda do,
all the
'cause they love
riders.
the Bosco content.
Yeah.
I don't know how much content's gonna come from that bus. Like if you talk the wrong or look at somebody the wrong way on those buses, you might get stabbed.
That sounds great. That's great
You should
content, though. That's
strap up.
Yeah.
Strap up with a knife.
Strap up. But yeah, that's
Bosco battles the bus.
that's my bold take. It might not be that bold to Dukes' point, but I do think people
So you think America's
You know what?
going to fall in love with
will
Alabama?
enjoy. Yeah,
You think that you think it's a bold take
yeah.
because you see how much people don't like Bama because of you.
Right.
This
that
might be
too.
exactly. Yeah, right.
exactly.
Exactly.
There you go. What do you have? A bold pick or a bold take?
A bold pick, but it's kind of a take as well, I guess. I have Kobe Mayo getting the American League Rookie of the Year. It's a plus 1,300. He's an Orioles player. If you don't know who he is, his minor league numbers are incredible. AAA, he has 657 at-bats in AAA, so pretty much a pretty normal season. 34 home runs, 122 RBIs. You can always control RBIs, but a 543 slugging percentage. His AA slugging percentage, 540. His minor league slugging percentage, total, 541. This guy is a consistent power hitter at every level he's played at. I think he's going to tear up pitching this year. I like Kobe Mayo a lot. He's not the favorite. Jason Dominguez is the favorite for Rookie of the Year. So this is a little bit off the beaten path a tiny bit, plus 1,300. That Orioles team, I think they can develop hitters. Plus 1,300 for a guy that has a 540 minor league slugging percentage. Let's go. This guy could hit 30 home runs next year. I mean, he's that good.
What happens if he gets traded to San Diego for Dylan Cease?
That'd be a problem for my pick for American League Rookie of the Year, which I've already placed. So I would be sad.
Let's hope it doesn't happen.
I'm pretty sure that would get voided.
I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
That should not get voided.
Yeah, I know.
you're
It,
taking a
Unless
risk.
DraftKings has it voided, then
I know.
vote it.
I know it wouldn't get voided if the season begins. So I also do.
Yeah, no. If he gets traded in the season, that's the breaks.
I'm fucked.
But
Right. But I like. I also think once the season starts, Kobe Mayo's in that lineup. They're not gonna trade him. He's gonna be that good. I really believe in this kid. So we'll
this
see.
kid's an Orioles rookie.
Yeah.
What position does he play?
Third base.
Okay.
He's actually friends with Nicky Smokes.
Is
Okay.
he really?
Yeah, they went to the same high school.
Oh, huh. That's interesting.
Is that like-
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's interesting.
Does that like hurt your pick at all? That thought, or
Why would that have any effect
I
on
don't
my
know.
pick?
Someone's friends with Nicky Smokes said they won Rookie of the Year.
That doesn't mean anything. You're just saying nonsense.
Orioles rookies have a lot of hype. I remember my dad when we were doing fantasy baseball back in the day being like, "I'm telling you, draft this kid 1 overall." He was saying draft him ahead of Beltran, fucking all these guys. He's Matt Wieters, the catcher for. He
he had a nice
fell
career.
in love with him
Nice
watching
career.
the College World Series because he caught 8 innings and they were like, "All right, we're going to the pen," and he took off the shit like it was Little League. and pitched the 9th inning.
Really?
Yeah. I think he went to Georgia Tech. You could Google that. I
think you're right.
But yeah, Matt Wieters was
He had a
his,
nice career.
was his
He
guy.
went to Georgia Tech.
Matt Wieters was his guy.
Didn't live up to the hype, but
My-
Yeah, definitely didn't live up to the hype, but had a very nice
But
career.
look at this new class. You got Adley Rushman, Gunnar Henderson, Colin Cowser was a Rookie of the Year finalist last year. This team can develop hitters. This organization can develop hitters. I really believe in Kobe Mayo. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But 540 minor league slam percentage. Let's ride.
Yeah.
My Evan Williams bourbon bold pick is George Washington money line 8.5-point dogs against VCU at home tonight. I like the GW guards. I think Castro, he's a Providence transfer, kind of eating it up in the A10. He's really come along and developed his game. Their coach Chris, he's slipping me right now.
Beard?
No, not Chris Beard. Chris Caputo, great coach. He's eyeing that Miami job. He's a Larinaga guy.
Okay.
I think he really gets
Wouldn't
his
you
boys
move
up.
away from Larinaga? I know Miami made a Final Four, but was Larinaga's...
And an Elite Eight.
Yeah. Was Larinaga's time... Yeah, I guess it has to be a success. Never mind.
Larinaga was highly successful.
At Miami?
Highly.
Yeah, Elite Eight and Final Four changes things. You're right.
2012, like with Shane Larkin too.
Yeah, you're right. They made a good run. You're right.
Yeah, that's my.
I guess I
that's
forget how good Larinaga was. That's fair.
Yeah. Also, really quick, I'll continue this with my bold take. George Mason, going off George Mason. George Mason's coach, Tony Skinn, he's got to be a major player for jobs. He's better than Kim English ever was at George Mason. He was on that 04 Mason team that went to the Final Four. This guy's an alum. Better than any coach has been at George Mason in a year. I don't even know the last time, but he has the number 1 in the A10. I think every high major job's got to be calling
His
for him
name
right
is
now.
Tony Skinn?
Tony
Skinn.
Skinn.
It's a great name.
Great name.
I like that name a lot.
Great coach. I mean, like, we're talking about all these openings.
Skinn.
I don't know how he's not considered for every single one.
Wow. I'm rooting
George
for him.
Mason's a hard place to coach.
What do you think a better name, Tony Skinn or Bucky McMillan?
I kind of like Tony Skinn. I think Bucky McMillan's trying too hard. Tony Skinn.
This guy
got
lost
some
his
skin in the
Well,
game.
all right. I do need to clarify that. In terms of trying too hard, you don't pick your name.
I know, but doesn't it feel like a lot of effort?
Unless you become an internet
Well, Bucky, you
celebrity and
pick
then
that.
you create your name and pick your name. But it's a different topic. But you don't pick
Well,
your name.
Bucky he picks. You could go by something else.
No, I think they started calling him Bucky.
That's a lot going on there. Was it Bucky McMillan you said?
Bucky McMillan.
That's a lot.
Tony
Tony Skinn.
Tony Skinn also lost all his best players from last year because of NIL, because they had no NIL
Right.
to play these guys.
Yeah.
And to come back the next year and be even better without your star players speaks volumes of who you are as a coach to adapt that well in this NIL environment. I'm like so impressed by this guy. It's in my conference. I should hate him, and I
Yeah,
can't
you
help
have to
but respect him.
it.
What school is this man?
George Mason.
I'm a
George
skinhead.
Mason.
I'm a
You gotta
skinhead.
remember-
Skinhead.
Pull up,
Skinhead.
Pull up the A10 in like 08, 09. You had Archie Miller. Was Hurley there at that point? You had Brad Stevens for sure.
Yeah.
Was Creighton was never in the A10, right?
Chris
No,
Mack.
Creighton was in the A10. Chris Mack. I'm trying to think of who else was there. Shaka from VCU.
Martelli.
Nah, he don't count. But you had Shaka from
Martelli.
VCU. He wasn't. He don't count. You had all these like up and coming A10 guys.
And then LaSalle that year they made the Sweet 16. I don't know who their coach was.
He's that old guy.
Dunphy?
Yeah. No.
He's here there now.
The doctor, I think. Pull up LaSalle.
Naismith.
I don't know.
Dr. Naismith.
No, not Naismith. Whatever. But A10 is a feeder system. It did have some good coaches.
Right,
for a
we
while.
even thought that
Yeah.
this generation of A10 would have, because there's a lot of good coaches there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just not shaking out.
Who is George Mason? Like who was he? Like why did they name a school after him?
I think he was not a founding father, but I do think that he was like on one of the boats.
What boats? What boat do you think?
Nina, the Pinta, and the
Yeah,
Santa
what
Maria.
boat? What boat?
I know. I think I wouldn't say he's a founding father, but like
What boat do you think he was on?
They're
though?
the George Mason.
You
he
think
wasn't
the founding
actually-
fathers
he
on the
was-
boats?
He wasn't actually on the boat. I just like to say that.
What
But
boat?
I was
Like
gonna
the-
guess like
the
the Nina,
Plymouth-
like the Plymouth Rock boats.
Mayflower?
Yeah, I know the founding fathers
That
weren't
would
on
have been
there.
170 years.
They're
150
the
years
George
before.
Mason Patriots, so I'm gonna guess it's an American
right.
Revolution guy.
All right, I'm gonna look it up right now.
I do think that would be like an interesting kind of factoid or TikTok series, but it could be it's very niche, very boring. But like what all these public schools.
Who is George Washington?
Yeah.
George Mason was
different
a founding father.
Edward R.
You're right.
Murrow. What did Edward R. Murrow do? I know that.
No, he was a newsman.
All right, I don't know that name, but he's named after a school. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he was he was one of the first great news.
Yeah, all right, whatever. It is what it is.
Radio journalists, TV journalists.
Yeah. All right, let's.
He was a founding father.
My bold pick, Steph Curry, 40-plus points, plus 750. The Dallas Mavericks are the biggest joke in basketball. Fans are booing every owner from top to bottom. Steph Curry just shoves his dick in their face tonight and just...
Whoa.
Yeah,
pause.
40's kind of hard, though, man. 40's hard.
Yeah, but he's Steph Curry.
Yeah, could go off. All right, let's transition to Danny Hurley real quick. Clemmer, I don't know if you saw the video. I blogged it. He's leaving the arena, or leaving the tunnel, leaving the court to Creighton fans. And obviously the Big East is built on these rivalries and great fan bases. All they have is basketball for the most part, aside from Villanova and Georgetown, I think. But even then, they're AA programs for football, so nobody really cares. They're built on basketball. They're built on rivalries, things like that. Hurley is leaving the tunnel, and it's like two rings. And he calls the other guy Baldy, which is kind of weird because Danny Hurley's also
He's kinda
bald.
bald.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's very
that's
bald
tough, yeah.
as well. But I guess you go to the guy's biggest flaw. He wasn't fat. He wasn't.
that's like
he
me calling
wasn't
someone
ugly.
skinny, though. I
Yeah,
can't do
exactly.
that.
Yeah, right. Well, he went to what he went to, so it is what it is. But I think a lot of people probably want me to take the sportsmanship route and hey, don't do this, and you can't show them up, and this things like that. I actually am probably going to go the opposite. Like, Hurley is a lunatic. I say that in the nicest way possible. He was put on this earth to win basketball games, and be a villain. He's embracing the villain. I do think in its time frame in the past couple of years where we lost some of the bigger than life personalities, Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, who were also like very buttoned up.
Yeah.
It's not bad to have these guys who just roam the sideline as like villain. You know, they're almost like
Who did he do this to, a fan?
he did it to a fan. Yeah.
That's-
Now he also earlier this year
That guy's year.
he
That's
told
great.
he told a ref, "Don't turn your back on me. I'm the best coach in the
I saw
fucking
that. Yes,
sport."
yeah. That's
He's-
a little
he's-
different.
he's-
No, not really, though. Honestly, I love characters. Like,
Yeah,
give me more characters. Doing that to a fan. The fans yelling at him. He gets to tell his grandkids that happened. That's fucking a huge win. That's great.
Yeah, I do worry sometimes. Like he's balancing the line a little bit of putting. But Dukes has said he puts all the stress on him. Let him be the bad guy and take the pressure off the kids. And it obviously did work. He's on back-to-back titles, and they're sitting on like the 6th line at worst this year. Where are they at, Dukes? They're top 20 in the country. They're sitting at the 6th line at worst right now. 7.
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't checked this week.
Yeah, not horrible, but they were at the 8. They moved up. Like
That was
he's
a great
again going to be
win.
in the top half of the bracket again, 3 years in a row. So that's where they're at.
I think that's. I'm with you, Rico. I want more characters in sports, not just college basketball. Give me bat flips. Give me taunting the fans. As long as you're not like being shitty about it. And then seeing 2 rings calling him Baldy is very safe.
Yeah.
After
fine.
they were cursing at him the entire game.
No shit.
Yeah, they're relentless.
Fuck Dan Hurley.
right.
Chants were ringing.
So that's
I like the back and forth.
Our
That's
callers
fun.
are getting
We all
restless.
want animated
all right,
Big
Phil.
East.
Jesus, Phil, relax.
We all want animated.
Take the calls.
We all want animated Big East coaches until the Big East coaches are animated. Like,
Right.
we all
Right.
wanted these, like, we're like, remember back in the 80s?
Yeah, exactly.
John Thompson versus Jim Boeheim? And then we have, like, Dan Hurley be like, come here. Last year, he's like, come here. Like, you don't want this.
Right.
Like, when he's to a Providence fan, people are, like, mad about that. It's good.
Yeah,
When you're
it is.
very upset about a coach's antics. And that coach is also winning championships up his ass.
Yeah. That would be the question I pose, Phil. This is how you do a segue, you fucking mutant. The question I pose to the callers, who's the most brash coach in each of the sports?
Oh.
Because none of them really stood out to me, but I think when somebody says it, they'll say something. I think the NFL has a lot of buttoned-up guys. It used to be Belichick.
Baseball, too.
And baseball has nobody
Oh,
to a degree.
Monty Guillen.
Yeah, you can go coach
Weaver.
or go character, I guess, if you need to in baseball and stuff like that. And we'll see where it's at. I'm interested because somebody always pops up with a good one. Oh, I got a good
So
one.
Phil's looking out for the people, though.
Yeah, I know. So go ahead, Phil. Put him through.
Moisty Turtle.
Oh, here we go.
Moisty.
He tried to sell us on a punt returner to win MVP the other day.
So we're talking about dynasties and whatnot. I think that Notre Dame lacrosse could do a 3-peat this year. Be a big dynasty out there, guys. I know not too many
Yes.
people are familiar with them. I think that could happen. Coach Corrigan's going to bring those fellas to the championship again.
He's right.
I look forward to waking up Memorial Day at like 10:30 a.m. and going, hey, I'll half watch that lacrosse championship.
I mean, I gave out a winner last year.
Where I'm at. You did.
And
You did.
shout out DraftKings. It's one of the only sports books that has college lacrosse every day.
The best.
Yeah.
The best.
What I want to say to you, dudes, is there any value in waiting for them to get to like plus 500 or 600? Like, I just don't see plus 350 right now as anything really too crazy, even though I think they're going to win again.
When people ask about value, the value is in if it turns green or not. And I think that, like, right now, you're getting them at 0-0. Like, they kind of have a cupcake in the beginning of the season before they go into ACC play. If you even get them at plus 500, you could kind of waltz them into the Final Four right now, in my opinion. I think they're a lock for the Final Four.
Yeah, they lost a lot.
The only
of people,
question
but
mark is their goaltending this year, but besides
that's
that,
what
they
I was
have.
gonna ask about.
It's the little only question is goaltending, but their defense is always spectacular. They can have an average for any non-lacrosse fans. It's like having a system quarterback. Their defense is so good, you could just have a system goaltender in there that just has to get the ones that he has to have. So yeah, I like ND to three-peat.
Yeah, and then I'll let the other callers get through, fellas. But the pick I have for tonight, Cleveland State's the opener against Notre Dame. They won by 19 last year. I think they might put 20 up on them. They're minus 18. I'm definitely betting on that tonight. And then the last thing, Rico, sorry about Nico Remigio, boss, but in my voicemail, if you look at the Bill game, he ran one back to like the fucking opposite 30. So that's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
I honestly didn't think that I was going to be the person that was in the parlay. I just figured it'd be a good addition because it was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, fellas, I think Irish put a future on him and bet him tonight.
All right, I like
that,
it.
as dudes likes to say.
I like
All right,
it.
Peace out, fellas.
Appreciate it. Phil, fire the next one. That's crazy. I mean, there's money in the crumbs with lacrosse, you know?
This
I
guy
guess
didn't
so.
give me a name. He just wants to talk to Rico
There
about SEC.
literally is money in the crumbs of the cross.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
If I'm bad at baseball, I'm going to start just blindly tailing you in lacrosse.
You should.
All right, so no
Thank
name,
you to
mystery
DraftKings.
caller.
Mystery caller wants to talk to Rico about SEC. You're on the line.
This could be bad.
Hey, Rico. It's Ryder Stooley from the chat.
What's up?
Hey, hope you're doing good. Glad to see you back on today. First off, just want to tell you that I really enjoyed your blog post from a few weeks ago about taking the 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Kind of hit home for me, so I just want to say good job on that. I want to talk to you about a team that I don't think is getting enough love from you in the SEC, and that's my Missouri Tigers. The job Dennis Gates has done after going winless in the SEC last year should be up for a Coach of the Year candidate, I think. A team that won at Florida, beat Kansas, Ole Miss, and won at Mississippi State and took Tennessee and A&M to the wire. Of course, I had a ride with you on Saturday when Wade Taylor hit the dagger against us, but I just think it's a team that could be dangerous come March that a lot of people aren't talking about right now.
Yeah, listen, I think if you get tested in this league night in and night out, you're obviously dangerous. I also think you're probably going to be, if you're on you lose a couple of games, like you said, like that, so you fall from where you really should be a 6 to like the 7 line, but you play because you play in a ridiculous league. Missouri definitely can be dangerous. I'll be honest, I don't go out of my way to watch them. I know they're ranked, but like I'm putting on my weird ESPN Plus games, and obviously the big ones.
Yeah.
So Missouri has kind of slipped through the cracks. I did watch them against Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is a sleeper to win the title to a degree. I know it's not a sleeper, but like they're 8 in the country right now?
Yeah, no doubt. They
Yeah, I
played
think-
Georgia Georgia and hell last time.
Yeah, after coming back, too. They were down to Georgia and then kind of came back. I think Buzz is obviously a great coach. That league tests you. But, yeah, Dennis Gates, obviously a big rebound story. Missouri is one of those teams I'm not massively familiar with. I will say they're predicted to beat Alabama when we go to Missouri in a couple weeks. So I will be tuned in and give you a full scouting report coming out of that. But, yeah, all these SEC teams, man, you're gonna put 12 in the tournament. They're all worth it, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. Next Wednesday in Columbia, Mizzou at Alabama at Mizzou. So looking forward to that one.
That's going to be a balance. That's going to be a balance for me because I'll be at Arkansas State that night. So I'll be checking the phone and I'll probably have to watch the recap.
Okay.
It'll be a balance.
You're going to Jonesboro.
Going to Jonesboro, yeah. Wow. Going to Jonesboro. The return with Frank.
All right. 3-team parlay tonight, Ole Miss money line, Mizzou money line, and Arkansas money line. Think it's kind of chalky, but you get it at plus 115 on DraftKings, and those are 3 teams that I feel good about right now with how they're playing.
All right.
All right, thanks, man. Enjoy
Take
your day.
it easy.
There you go. That wasn't so bad.
No, I just
fan.
you mystery. Yeah, you have the mystery.
I know, mystery,
You never know where
you never know
it's.
the mystery.
You know what I mean? Phil lays it out like.
No, Phil also made it sound more ominous than it was.
Yeah, exactly. I make you worry. By the way, how about Kansas State, Dukes? I don't know if they have enough.
What a weird, fucking
Bizarre team.
year.
They have 2 quad 3 losses. And they have 4 wins against. They started off 0-6 in the Big 12, and now they're 6-6 in the Big 12, or 7-6.
It's
they have
insane.
wins against 4 ranked teams. They beat the shit out of
It's
Iowa
insane.
State, who people were saying were a 1 seed, but they also have losses to 2 quad 3 teams earlier in the year. They got smacked by St. John's. It's very up and down.
Wow.
Look at that stretch. So from January 4th, that calendar run right there, as you talk about a nightmarish January, turned it around, running through February.
And really, it's not even just January. Go back to December. It's like they won one
Oh,
of
geez,
10.
yeah, I forgot those 3.
that's tough.
Drake, Wichita. Drake's tough. Drake's a good team, but Wichita
1-9
State.
stretch.
They have another bad loss before Wichita State, right? Scroll up a little bit.
They lost to Liberty. They lost to LSU.
Yep.
They lost to St. John's by 17. Drake in overtime, which Drake is pretty good. Wichita by a fucking million. Beat Cincy, and then just went on such a bad losing
They
streak.
figured it out, though.
But then look at this. They beat West Virginia, who's good. They beat Iowa State, who's 8. Kansas, who's 10. Arizona,
Yeah.
who's 14, and Ken Palm. Like, these are really, really good teams.
And it looks like the next upcoming schedule isn't as tough as what they just went
now,
through.
what you might be looking at
Every
too,
night in the Big 12's a
now,
test.
Now you might
Every
be
night.
you might be looking at this schedule, and you might be saying, "Well, they were home every game." Yeah, that helps.
They weren't home every game.
Yeah, but the big ones they were home. Like was
No,
West
they beat Iowa State on the road.
2 out
Iowa
of
State
3.
on the road.
Yeah,
Iowa
2
State
out
on
of
the
3.
road.
2
I'm
out of the
saying
top
that's
3.
pretty good. Like if you were that fucking figuring it out and you managed to pull it off, that's pretty impressive.
for sure.
I hope they make the tournament.
Who is
Like
this
that
team?
or Kansas State.
I forget. Oh, I don't like Kansas State. I went to that campus. It was so boring. It was like an office park. It was hard. I couldn't get a purple hat there. I had to go to a
That's
supermarket.
impossible. The whole fucking place is purple.
No, people said no. People were rude. I am down on Kansas State. Down. I'm sorry if you're a Kansas
Manhattan, Kansas.
State. Not a fan.
They're like New Yorkers.
See, that's where you should have went right into.
I had easy
you're-
time in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I went to the supermarket. So luckily, some like middle-aged guy sold me his hat.
Yeah, makes sense.
A bad time at Kansas State. I'm down on them.
All right. Phil, fire it through.
Ryan, college basketball. Ryan.
Yo,
What's up?
how's it going?
Good.
Hey, Ryan.
So, how we feeling about the Gators?
Oh, I
boys?
forgot. I thought this was the Gator guy. Yeah, I mean, you guys are fucking good, dude. You guys are very, very good. You're holding what kind of ticket?
I am holding Florida preseason 55-1 for the national title.
Did you have another one parlayed with Ohio State? Did I remember, or that's not I made that up?
No, you are right, my friend. It was Auburn parlayed with Ohio State and Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh,
Juicy,
all right.
very juicy.
Yes, sir. But what is it? Got into a little bit of a debate last night with Dukes on Twitter, saying Walter Clayton deserves Wooden Award recognition.
We didn't have a debate about that.
I wouldn't say it was a full-on debate, but you
Wait,
responded.
there was
If somebody responded, yeah.
Is there
was-
a conversation at all?
I said that last year Braden Smith was the best point guard in college basketball, which
Okay.
I don't even I thought he just deserved to be in the conversation. Jeff D'Lo was like, no, he wasn't. What happened in the national championship game? What happened in the national championship game? One, Jeff, it wasn't Braden Smith's fault. It was all the role players. Mason Gillis, Lance, Foster Lawyer were non-existent. It was Braden Smith and Zach Edey, and they let Zach Edey go for 40, and that was their strategy, and it worked out. UConn was just a better team. I still think Braden Smith was a better point guard than Tristan Newton. I think Jamal Shed was the best point guard in the country. This guy responded to me and said Walter Clayton. I was like, not in the top 3. It was Shed, it was Braden Smith and Tristan Newton, whichever way you wanted to do it, and then that was a clear top 3, and then whatever you want to do after that, I don't really care.
You could have put Sears in there last year too.
No, I was a little bit of a dumbass because I should have responded to the original message saying this year because Walter
But we
Clayton,
weren't talking.
you gotta give him some-
You think he's better than Braden Smith this year?
Yes.
Oh, you're crazy.
What are you talking talking about? Dude, he was a 2-guard last year, transitioned to point guard this year, and he's putting up the numbers he is.
I'm not saying that Walter Clayton's a bad player. I'm saying that Braden Smith is by far and away the best point guard in college basketball this year.
Again, I don't know about that. I would say Florida's record says different.
I would say if you respect analytics with Evan Mia, it's Braden Smith right now is the 3rd best player in the country behind Janai Brim and Cooper Flagg, and Walter Clayton is 30th.
All right. Fair enough.
No? All right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think
enough.
stats and eye tests can
concede
change
it.
different things, but it makes
There you go.
sense.
It's classic.
3
Yeah,
and
we're
30
rooting
is a
for
big.
you.
Braden Smith, he has the eye test. He has everything.
Yeah, I think Florida's sitting at a 1, 2, or 3 seed. You're in a great spot for a position. You can obviously hedge. You got to hope they make the Sweet 16 with no qualms. You know what I mean, or no real test, and then you're in a good spot from there.
Most definitely. I'm looking out that they don't get stuck in a bracket with St. John's, and I really, really hope they can make the 1 seed and avoid a 2 seed with Tennessee or Duke being the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think if Houston is a 2 seed as well, you should always worry about Houston.
Dude, no team should want to play
Without
them.
a
I'm
doubt.
very high on Houston this year. Very high.
Same. If they
Aside
say
from Alabama, I think like that would be the team I'd ride right now to win the title.
that's
I
what
really would.
I have them and
Well,
St. John's.
Kelvin Sampson's made like a ton of second weekends in a row. I don't know the streak. Phil.
Always gets the only thing about Kelvin Sampson and Houston is they get screwed by injuries because of how hard they play, and they never have the depth. With just this year, I
Yeah.
think they have it. And you need an ISO scorer, so like you need someone like Sharp to really be on it. I think Tugler is one of the best players in the country. Jawan Roberts' offensive game has really developed into like a strong down low presence. He's always like been able to do that for Houston, especially on the defensive end. But offensively, he's really came on strong this year.
They're basically St. John's that can shoot the 3.
Right.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing with St. John's is like I wonder with St. John's, right, with their offensive analytics, like, and I know Patino, we touched on it, Rico, how he said that Wilcher and I forget the other player, that they struggle with the Madison Square Garden 3-point line, the NBA line, right?
Is
Yeah,
it
I could
Lewis?
see that.
What?
Luis, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Lewis?
Yeah, but I'd like to see, and when it comes to a tournament setting, how do they start performing offensively? Does the 3-ball come back? Or like, do they develop a 3-ball?
Well, really quickly, I wanted to get into you guys. What do you think about a couple of these 1 seeds profiling similar to a Virginia and having a couple 1 seed upsets early?
No, like lose to a 16 this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Just because.
I don't see it. Auburn, Alabama, and Duke are, I think, head and shoulders above all the 6. No chance. This would be the year. I know
All I'm saying
no
is-
chance.
How about this?
Well, all I'm saying is the public is a lot smarter than they've been in the past. There's a lot more resources going into the Evan Mia website, the Ken Palms, all these different metrics. I'm just going off of the basis that the books obviously know that. So maybe there's a little bit of misrepresentation with some of those teams at the top.
No, I don't think this is the year. I think the ones are safe. I respect
All
it,
right.
but I'm not going to entertain it.
I actually think that he's not that far off base. Not 16 seed. But I do think that this year you're going to see like someone 1, 2 could really get screwed by these 8-9 games.
Well, that's standard. The ones do
No.
lose. Ones
No.
do lose to the 8-9s.
I agree with you, but like you might get FAU versus Memphis where it's like, oh, they're pretty good, like AAC. Like,
Right.
no, I'm saying you're gonna get like do you get a Creighton,
Baylor.
right?
Yeah.
Where it's like really good teams. Like obviously college basketball is at I think an all-time high right now, talent-wise. There's
Oh,
so
without a doubt.
like I think there's so many good teams where you might look at a. Should I look at like I don't know like an 8-9 game right now?
I think Baylor's on the 8-9.
Fine, if you're
line.
looking at Baylor, like is this team like in 5 years ago are they on the 6 or 5 line?
Right.
So I just think that teams could get screwed by these 8-9 games this year, more so than
Without
ever.
a doubt, because you also have to consider like if New Mexico can play their way up,
Right.
Or
Completely
you have
agree.
teams like Drake, even mid majors, like
VCU
The
is like
quality
no, they won't get
overall.
8-9.
Yeah. I can see it. All right. Thanks, Ray.
Do you have any more calls, Phil?
no problem. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Ray.
I think we do. That's why I was.
Chris wants to talk Jared Goff. Chris, you're on.
Oh, what?
It's an off-the-radar topic.
I like
How's
that.
it going, boys?
What's up?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Wanted to call in today, talk Jared Goff, mostly because I live out in Detroit. Our local sports talk radio is 97.1 The Ticket. Our hosts are like Mike Valeni, Pat Caputo, Rico Beard, and wanted to talk Jared Goff because the day after the divisional round game against Washington, there was a lot of callers into 97.1 inviting the idea of moving on from Jared Goff. And I just found it very odd because, like, all year, if you would go, even honestly over the course of the last couple of years, if you go to any like big event in Detroit, you would hear Jared Goff chants. You'd go to grocery stores. Shit, I went to a concert in downtown Detroit. Jared Goff wasn't even in the building. They were doing Jared Goff chants. And then because he had a blunder and a very bad performance of one game, all of a sudden, almost like the local radio was just finding a good excuse to say, you know, is Jared Goff the guy? Can he bring us to the promised land? So I just wanted to kind of call in, see if maybe you guys are familiar at all with like local Detroit radio. And I guess maybe like, do you think Jared Goff is still the man just because of that bad performance against Washington at home? Or I don't know. Just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
Definitely not familiar with Detroit radio.
No, we're familiar
I'll
with
say
Detroit
that.
I'll say,
Yeah, I think it's weird. Aaron and Smiley, I don't have much of a take, but I think there's only so many good quarterbacks. If you have one and you're in the win now thing and you're built that way, you don't go away from that guy. Now you might be sitting on the merry-go-round a little too long, which is always the balance in the NFL. But I think you ride with Goff for right now.
So Goff has gotten 4,400 yards or more each of the last 3 years. So my question is then, if not Goff, then who? So if it's one thing to say I want Goff out of town, just kind of blindly say that, but it's another thing, who are you going to replace him with? And like Rico said, there's only so many good quarterbacks, and Goff is absolutely a top 10 quarterback in the league. So who are you going to replace him with? I think that if I was Detroit and someone said I want to get rid of Goff, I'd be like, all right, fine. Who next then?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, you always hear all the old heads in Detroit. Like, I'll even tell you this, growing up in Detroit, there's still, like, a lot of old folks that just cannot wrap their head around Matt Stafford not being our QB1, honestly, like, even to this day. It's tough. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you just listen to these guys, and it infuriates me. And I know, like, obviously, like, the job of, like, local radio is honestly to rile people up. Like, the only people dumber than these radio hosts are the callers themselves when they call in and they just say, oh, I agree. Or even if you, like, call in and give like a counterpoint, the radio host will give 1 point back and they'll be like, oh, you're right, I didn't think about that. So it's just like a common thing every single day. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your guys' take on that and do appreciate the call for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I like Goff.
Phil, empty him out. How many you got? Did he disappear?
He's going to talk to Lisa Ann.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's a hell of a week for Phil.
Jesus.
Who was last week? Bonnie Blue?
Bonnie Blue, yeah. Phil gets around with the ladies here.
I like how jet ski now is like, in terms of female entertainers, it's like us naming coaches. Like, oh, where does this guy coach? We rattle it off in 5 seconds. Like, jet skis.
I'm deep in my bag.
Yeah.
I know breasts.
So does Phil.
Go ahead, pal.
Hey guys, 3-point sniper. I've been telling Dukes and Big Ev that I would call in, so finally getting the chance to today. Do you guys have time for me to give my 3-play card and a brief breakdown on them?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. First one's going to be St. John's and Nova. First half, over 65.5. Both of these teams are in the top 100 in the country, averaging 35 points per game in the first half, so that's great. And believe it or not, St. John's is actually due for some defensive regression in the shot quality matrix, and that's in regards to shot quality points per possession allowed. And so the biggest area that they're due for regression in is in the mid-range, and that's where Eric Dixon, Wooga Poplar, Brickus, and all those guys excel for Villanova. So they're actually shooting 45% in the mid-range this year. So I think this is a really great spot for them to score. And Nova also played to their pace a little bit in the first game, and it got up and down. So I think at the small gym atmosphere in Finneran tonight, we'll see a nice pace again. I think it'll get out to a nice start. That's the first one. Second one is my best bet. That's South Carolina getting the 5. Ole Miss has been pretty bad on the road recently, 1-2 in their last 3. They really should be 0-3. LSU was up 11 points at 3 minutes the other night, never scored again, and lost 72-70. And LSU's horrible. It's a great matchup for Colin Murray Boyles against Dia and Brakefield. And I think that South Carolina will find success behind Lamont Paris against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 334th in defending cuts this year, 260th in defending in the half court. And the Gamecocks are actually 57th in the country on cuts, and they're 288th in tempo. So I think it's a great matchup for them. Lamont Paris beat Chris Beard both times last year. And, South Carolina has been playing teams close in Columbia. Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, all these teams barely escaped. And I don't think the Rebels are going to be as lucky tonight. I think the Gamecocks get their first SEC win, so I'm glad they take the 5 there. And then last one of the night, going to the Valley, is going to be Illinois State plus 2.5 against Drake.
I'm going opposite. I like Drake. I think McCollum just wins. I know that's probably chalky. That's my pick of the day is Drake.
I'll tell you why. Illinois State's a little bit more talented than the public might realize. Chase Walker is an absolute monster in the post, and he had a great game against Drake in Des Moines. And Illinois State has this guard, guys. His name's Johnny Kinziger, and he was actually a former Wisconsin Mr. Basketball, co-Mr. Basketball with Milan Momcilovic from Iowa State. And he's having a monster sophomore year. He's a really short guy and small frame, so that's why he didn't, go major D1. But he's really killing it right now. And actually, this might be a blast from the past for you, Rico, but Illinois State actually has Malachi Poindexter coming off the bench for them, former Tony Bennett UVA guard.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, if you go back and watch that first game, Illinois State performed about as well as any team I've seen against Drake this year. They shot 50% from the field, and that's against a really quality Drake defense. They only lost by 4 in Des Moines. So, Ken Pom also has this at a 3-point game. So
Yep.
I'm not overthinking it. I'm taking the Redbirds. So, and then one to look out for this weekend, Cincinnati traveling to Iowa State. I think I'm going to be playing Cincinnati in that game, obviously, depending on where it opens at. It's around a 12-point game on Ken Pom right now. But Cincinnati was playing horrible, even though that they were, looking great in regards to metrics. And actually, after they lost to West Virginia, they thought that they were going to get their ass chewed in practice. And Wes Miller just took the guys in and let them play dodgeball. 3-game win streak since then. They're having fun, playing well. I'm definitely leaning towards taking them with the points this weekend.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I know Ev is big on it.
right.
Duke's obviously big on it. So free to anytime we take calls. Appreciate it. Duke, give me one more. Yeah. Go ahead.
You guys got me?
Yep.
All right, I got to be quiet. I'm at work. I had to just walk into the bathroom and talk about it. Well, people talk about fucking the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff, whoever the fuck that guy was taking forever to talk about with picks. You guys spent all Monday talking about Patrick Mahomes and fucking Tom Brady's legacy. Hardly talked about the Birds. Jake Elliott breaks the most records for kickers. Points, break the most points in the postseason. We annihilated a dynasty that was talked about as maybe one of the greatest teams of all time. You guys have hardly fucking said shit.
We talked about how Jalen Hurts is a Hall of Famer. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
It's just not true. We literally had a conversation about Jalen Hurts being a Hall of Famer.
I do think the Chiefs, unfortunately listen, you guys won, but I think unfortunately the way the story coming out of that game was going to go is going to be the Chiefs either way.
What do you want us to say about Jake Elliott?
Chiefs win, they're the best ever. It's a dynasty. You have to talk about that. Chiefs lose, you talk about it's not it's tough for an Eagles fan to swallow, but if the Chiefs don't win, you go, what went wrong? Like the Chiefs were going to be the lead story no matter what. I know that's hard to swallow, but that's how it goes.
I just don't know. What do you want to say about Jake Elliott? He's a good kicker. What's the conversation there, though?
I don't think we're breaking down points records for kickers.
I just don't know. What do you want me to say?
Up with Mahomes the whole time. They put on a fucking show.
They were awesome.
People are still talking him below. Out of the top 5, half those top 5 quarterbacks he's beaten head-to-head. The only person I would say you can't put him ahead of is Joe, because Joe has also beaten Mahomes in the playoffs. But he did what none of those other fucking quarterbacks have done.
So you think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes?
No, you can't put him above Mahomes.
All right, that's fair. All right.
Got the rings, but I think you have to put him 2 or solidly 3, because he's beaten every single one of them, including Joe Burrow, head-to-head, and did what all of them except Joe Burrow couldn't do head-to-head. In the playoffs, he's beaten Mahomes. He's outperformed Mahomes twice in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, in the biggest stage. And all those other schmucks couldn't do it. I appreciate them.
I do
Devil's
kind of
advocate,
like.
devil's advocate, really quick.
Jalen-
I just think that like I think Jalen Hurts has solidified himself as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, which
Yes.
is like not disrespectful by any means
what we
whatsoever.
said on Monday.
I actually think that you're being disrespectful to your defense, and like he definitely outplayed Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls combined. Couldn't agree with you more. But that defense fucking gave him nightmares. The fact that you could only like rush 4 people with 0% blitz percentage, that's disrespectful, I think, to your defense for what they were able to do to Mahomes, and not what Jalen Hurts did against Mahomes.
Well, that's fair. The defense is unbelievable. It was one of the most insane defenses I've ever seen. Maybe I'm a little bit skewed from everything else that I've heard. The whole playoffs with everyone just shitting on Jalen because he didn't pass for this many yards.
No, you're right. We ranked him 7th. Yeah,
100%
we
right.
ranked him
Oh, the
7th.
season.
That's
You're
fair,
100% right with that.
That's
yeah.
fair.
You were 100% right
The
with
Eagles
that.
are worthy winners. The Eagles dominate.
Right, but you know how it works. The stories coming out of the game are going to be Chiefs one way or the other. That's just how it goes.
Hey,
So,
Reno, fuck your story.
yeah, all right, fair enough. You got a ring. Yeah, he's got a ring.
So you are a storyline guy?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. No, I just like that.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I'm
but-
going to tell you after the show.
All right, fair enough. All right, picks. I'm on Drake minus 2.5.
Why are you hard?
What do you got?
Whoa, doctor. Whoa, hold on. Whoa.
They're like Greg back here.
What happened? You bricked up? Phil, what's going on?
Literally not true at all.
All right, it's
They're
okay.
like
We
Greg.
all get
He-
excited sometimes.
He came in and was like, and went like this.
Oh, Phil.
That's
all
literally
right.
not what happened at
Yeah,
all.
good time in there. What's going on?
Why are
Yeah.
you so smiling? I haven't seen you this happy. Giants.
I'm smiling.
Did the Giants win the Super Bowl?
Yep.
The Mets must have won a playoff game the way this
What
guy's
happened
bricked
there,
walls.
Phil?
What? You'll see.
You have to watch.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good tease, Phil. I like that.
tonight.
Look,
Speaking of teasing,
it's a big day, guys. We're bringing back the Monster Money Line Parlay. I'm on the Pistons, Timberwolves, and Lakers. You take all 3 of those, and it's plus 139. Pistons playing the Bulls. They destroyed them yesterday. Timberwolves against the Bucks. The Bucks are very hamstrung right now with injuries. And then the Lakers are playing the Jazz. Jazz are horrific. So I like that a lot. Plus 139. Get those 3 teams.
I'm on Drake minus 2.5. Dukes. Phil, close it out.
Victor Wembanyama, 40+ PRA. He's playing the Celtics tonight. I think Wemby's just like picked to go off any night.
Dukes.
George Washington plus 8.5, Dayton minus 8.5. That's at Rose Thrill, Fordham. I think I'm gonna go, but they're depressing me, so I don't know.
All right.
Celtics minus 8.5. Jason Tatum, baby, is playing. They're doing it again. I don't even know where the narrative talks are. I kind of fell for it. This team is just as good as last year. They're like off their mark by like four games. They have more 20-point blowout wins than they did last year at this time. Celtics are fine. Jason Tatum's playing the best basketball, I think, of his life. He's taking it to a whole nother level. The disrespect that he gets is so unwarranted. For my money, the best player in the NBA.
That's just
No, Phil says that Curry's better than Tatum, which is insane.
Tatum is better.
Insane.
Tatum is a great
There's
player. He's not the best in the
there's
NBA.
one player in the NBA that I think has the argument over him. I'm taking him over SGA 10 times out of 10.
That's the argument. Hey,
SGA is a very good comparison. The number one, clearly in my mind, is Jokic.
You'll take him over Giannis.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll take him over SGA, like you said.
Yes.
He's riding his guy, Phil. You can't
It's
get
not
mad
even
at
riding
him.
my guy.
Phil,
It's
you're
just-
taking Curry over him. It's insane.
That's a little tough.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest shooters ever.
But he's not. But no, we're talking about right now.
Have you seen his latest stretch where he's
Tatum,
top
you could have
30 a
Tatum on the
game?
floor.
Yeah, he had 30
Tatum,
before
Tatum
games.
is
Congratulations. 5 on the
invaluable.
team.
Tatum is invaluable to an NBA franchise. He can guard 1 through 5. He's so good at defense. He's so long. Can shoot the ball. Can drive it. Can distribute it. Can do anything for your basketball team. Rebounds the ball. Everything.
And Steph Curry's the greatest shooter ever.
Yeah,
And
but you're talking
exactly.
the past, though. We're
Talking
talking about
like-
right now,
He's-
Phil. It
he's
doesn't
the-
matter.
he's the
You're getting
best
in the
shooter
weeds.
in
You're getting in the
basketball.
weeds. You're getting in the weeds.
He's the best shooter in basketball.
He might not even be. Isaiah Joe might be.
He can't
Roll
play.
it,
He can't
dudes.
play a lot of back-to-backs.
No.
His knees are all fucked
He
up.
just
Phil.
had 30 points on a back-to-back last week. Maybe you could watch the games.
I know. But he said, did you hear what I said? I said he's having trouble playing
He's
back-to-backs.
clearly not having trouble if he's dropping
No, he's
30
clearly
on-
having trouble because he missed a lot of them. So
Oh,
he
God,
clearly is
well,
having trouble.
I'm talking about the recent one where he literally had 30 points.
Right,
off a
right. But how about the ones before that, Phil?
Well, he found the fountain of youth. It's called Jimmy Butler.
All right.
Found the fountain.
Wait,
He's going through- he's
I
like
have
35 years old.
I have two things to close with. Sorry,
Go
Rico,
ahead.
but one, the fucking Heat Twitter where they said Wiggins was going to give Tatum a trouble, and then Tatum dropped 33 on his ass. Awesome. And then going back to our Eli Vinatieri debate from last week, I had a guy who came in, and I know he was in my DMs, and he had a good argument for Vinatieri over Eli. So I'm going to pull it up really quick.
Okay.
Is it?
Vinatieri was 7 of 10 on field goals and 13 of 13 extra points for 34 points in 5 games. Super Bowl careers. responsible for 18 points.
That's just. I mean, all right.
All right. Fair enough. That's a good way to look at it.
That's a good argument.
That's good.
No, it's not. It's a
Yes,
horrible
that's great
argument.
He's not
It's a great-
responsible.
Dumb
for-
argument.
He did score more points.
It's
He
a
did score
great
more points.
argument.
He did
It's
score
not a
more
great
points.
argument.
I would- I would-
It's
argument.
not a great.
I would
So
put
then
both
every.
of them in.
I mean, even if you're going 7 for 10 on just field goals, it's 21, which outscores the
Yeah,
18.
I know it's removing a large
how it
portion of the
works.
game, though.
Right,
Unfortunately.
that's how it works.
Look, you can only control the factors that you can control.
Yeah. That's how it
All-time
works.
leading scorer in NFL history too.
Yep.
Kickers'
so-
lives matter, Clemmer.
So by that same argument, you're saying Adam Vinatieri is the greatest NFL player ever.
you,
He's up
you know
there.
what? You could make the
You
argument.
think? Phil, you think he's the greatest ever?
He's one of the 102.
No. That's number one. If he's the greatest, by that same argument that guy had, then Adam Vinatieri is the greatest player in
He's
NFL
one of
history.
the top 300 players in NFL
That's
history.
not. But that's not what that gentleman is using as an
Well,
argument.
I'm using that.
Okay.
All right.
Greatest
Yaks,
NFL player of all time.
Yaks rocking now. Clemmer taking the reins tomorrow. Heavy baseball
Baseball,
tomorrow.
me and Hubs.
Clemmer show.
Great.
And we'll see you tomorrow and then see you Friday to wrap it up.